ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। So I have sent you the link for this also, whoever wants to follow. Okay. Om Jatavedase Sunavama Soma Marati Yeto Nidahati Vedaha Sanah Parshadati Durgani Vishwanaveva Sindhunduritatyagnihi ताम अग्निवर्णां तपसा ज्वलन्तीं वैरोचनीं कर्मफलेषु जुष्टां दुर्गां देवीं शरणमहं प्रपद्ये सुतरसि तरसे नमः। अग्ने त्वं पारयानव्यो अस्मान् स्वस्तिभिरति दुर्गाणि विश्वा पूश्च पृथ्वी बहुलान उर्वी भवा तोकाय तनयाय संयोः विश्वानिनो दुर्गः जातवेदः सिन्धुन्ननावादुरितातिपर्षि अग्ने अत्रिवन्मनसा गृणानोऽस्माकं बोध्यविता तनूनां पृतनाजितगुं सहमानमुग्रमग्निगुं हुवेम परमात् सदस्थात् स नः पर्षदति दुर्गाणि विश्वाक्षामद्देवो अतिदुरितात्यग्निः प्रत्नोषिकमीड्यो अध्वरेषु सनाच्च होता नव्यश्च सत्सि स्वाञ्चा आग्ने तनुवं विप्रय स्वास्मभ्यं च सौभगमायजस्व गोभिर्जुष्टमयुजो निषिक्तन्तवेन्द्र विष्णोरनुसञ्चरेम नाकस्य पृष्ठमभिसंवसानो वैष्णवीन् लोक इह मादयन्ताम् कात्यायनाय विद्महे कन्याकुमारि धीमहि तन्नो दुर्गिः प्रचोदयात्। ओम शांति शांति शांति। So this is the Durga Sukta. This Durga Suktam is chanted for getting rid of one's afflictions. Anishta Pariharartham, like that, Sayanacharya in his Veda Bhashya is introducing this. So any Anishta, any undesirable things which you are facing, any afflictions, any hindrances, all these things, if you want to remove, if you want to destroy, if you want to get rid of, then this Durga Sukta one can do japa or chant. That is why this Durga Sukta is generally chanted. This Durga Suktam is actually part of the Mahanarayana Upanishad, which itself is part of the Taittiriya Aranyakam. Sometimes the Mahanarayana is also considered to be the fourth chapter of the Taittiriya Upanishad itself. Normally, when we study Taittiriya Upanishad, we only study the 3 chapters. There is a Sikshavalli, Brahmanandavalli, and Bhriguvalli. Because I think Adi Shankara also has written commentary only for those 3 vallis. But Mahanarayana Upanishad is supposed to be the 4th chapter of Taittiriya Upanishad, or it is separately considered. In fact, lot of the Upayukta mantras which we use, like all this Durga Suktam, Medha Suktam, even Sandhya Vandana related mantras, Viraja Homa mantra, like this, so many are there. Many of them are all part of this Mahanarayana Upanishad. And even many mantras we use in the daily puja in the temple, they are all part of this Mahanarayana. and it is part of the Taittiriya Aranyaka of the Krishna Yajurveda. So here Sayana Bhashya is there, and we are following Sayanacharya's Bhashya largely while understanding all these different mantras. So this Durga Sukta is for Anishta Parihara, to get rid of any undesirable things which we are facing. In fact, we are facing a lot of undesirable things right now. So I think we all should chant this Durga Sukta every day. We used to chant this Durga Suktam every day in our temple puja in Gurukulam when we were studying there. Even today in our temple puja also here, whenever we do chant Rudra, Chamaka, we also chant this Durga Suktam, Medha Suktam. All these things are chanted, but we have to chant it with more vigor, many more times, maybe every day 3 times or 11 times or something. We can do that, those who know how to chant it. So here let us try to understand the meaning of the first rik here. Jatavedase sunavama somam arati yato nidahati vedaha. Jatavedase somam sunavama, like that. So here actually somam is one word, arati yataha is another word, but they have actually printed it wrongly. It is not soma marati yataha, it should be somam arati yataha actually, or they should have combined the two together. So here Jata Vedas, like that we are addressing the Devata, because Suktas are all generally addressed towards a particular Devata. Now we have this understanding that there are Devatas are there, and they are the ones who are really running the show here on behalf of Ishvara. In fact, in English, they are translated as demigods and all that. I think we better leave all those English translations because we really don't know. It doesn't really convey anything. So Devata means how do we understand? Also, we have to first look at, in our tradition, how do we understand Devatas means? For every phenomenon which is there on this world, on this earth, and generally in this world itself, there is a certain abstraction if you do that, correct? So you see, seeing itself is a phenomenon, correct? We have eyes. Now these eyes are there in one particular individual body, and it is able to see. So seeing itself is a phenomenon, or sight, if you take it, it is a phenomenon. My body has eyes as a sense organ, and I am able to see things using these eyes. But if you take it as a phenomenon, as sight, you abstract it out, then sight is there everywhere. So many bodies are there, all over sight is there. In fact, although the seeing which is happening may be different, correct? Human beings' ability to see is different. We have polychromatic vision, you can say. We can see colors. They say that some animals do not have color vision. They have only black and white. For example, I think cows cannot really see colors. But owls have a different type of vision. Bats, in fact, do not have eyes at all, but still they use ultrasound like vision they have. So like this, the sight as a phenomenon, if we take, it is there in limitless places, correct? You have individually sight is there in a particular body, then sight as a phenomenon is there all over. Now that sight as a phenomenon is nothing but a manifestation of Ishvara. That's how we look at it. Similarly, you can look at anything else. Vak, speech. Again, speech is there in one body. Speech is there in so many human beings also, correct? So many different bodies. Speech as a phenomenon. Hearing as a phenomenon is there in a body. Ears are there, but it is also there in so many countless other places. Like that, any of these functions, if you take and abstract it out, there is a totality. There is an individual manifestation. There is a totality of that manifestation. The totality of that manifestation, which is unbound, countless, limitless, is what we call a Devata. That is also Ishvara's manifestation only. In fact, the totality of all the Devatas themselves put together is called Hiranyagarbha or Brahmaji and all we say. Okay, so because all these Devatas themselves are like the body and the Indriyas of Hiranyagarbha, we say, or Prajapati, all these words are used, Sutratma. The totality of the physical world is called Virat. The totality of the subtle manifestation, that means all the sense organs, our mind, even prana, all that is part of the subtle body or the Sukshma Sharira, we say. The totality of all the Sukshma Sharira as a phenomenon is nothing but the manifestation of Hiranyagarbha. Ishvara's manifestation, we call it Hiranyagarbha. So all Devatas are nothing but Ishvara only. So they are all manifestations of Ishvara. We are looking at Ishvara as a particular phenomenon. And then we say that there is an Adhisthana Devata for that phenomenon. Sight means Aditya Devata. Vak means Agni. So like this, for any phenomenon you take, there is an Adhisthana Devata. And then we can have special prayers for that Adhisthana Devata. So Suktas are all special prayers. Any phenomenon you take, there are so many Suktas in the different Vedas, in all four Vedas. So here Durga means, what is this Durga Devi or Durga as a Devata? Again, Devatas can be masculine, feminine and all that. That is how we look at it. There is also a language aspect to it. But otherwise also how we actually look at each Devata, we can assign a gender. Some of them are even twins. Ashwini Devatas are there. They are twins. And Marut Devatas are Ganas. They are group. So, in fact, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad even classifies Devatas into Varnas also. There are Brahmana Devatas, Kshatriya Devatas, like that. It's interesting. So, these Devatas are all there, and we can address our specific prayers to these Devatas. We say there are 33 crore Devatas because so many phenomenon you can say. In fact, 33 crore also is just a number. We have to take that for every phenomenon. If you look at the totality, it can be looked upon as a Devata. That's all. That means there are countless Devatas also because there are countless manifestations of Bhagavan, of Ishvara. So here Durga means the one who is attained with difficulty. Okay. Dukkhena Gamya. You gain something with difficulty, means that is Durga in our understanding. So many things are there like this, correct? Nothing is easy to achieve. In fact, we can all get frustrated. Any accomplishment we do, starting from even like entrance exams and all that. It's not easy. In India, all these competitive exams are very difficult. Some people prepare for years. UPSC exam, you want to become an IAS officer, IPS officer, not easy. Some people prepare for years, they take it many times, still they may fail. Or CA exam, you want to become a chartered accountant, not easy to clear. I even know people who have given up also after 15 years, 20 years. IIT entrance exam, not easy. Then so many other things in life, forget entrance exam. You are a PhD scholar, it's not easy to do research. You can get frustrated. It looks impossible, certain things. Or you are a mountaineer and some particular peak is not easy to climb, correct? There are peaks like that. Even Mount Everest, so many people have climbed. I think K2, like that, there is one peak which has not been climbed by many people at all. It's very, very difficult because the weather conditions are also like that. So all these things, if you see as an accomplishment in this world, so many things are very difficult to achieve. Or personally you take, that is the most difficult to change yourself. We are all born in a certain family, in a certain kula, in a certain varna, in a certain country, and we inherit so many things from that, correct? Whether you like it or not, you had a certain childhood. That childhood is what is defining you as an adult also. Everybody, depending on whether we had a loving childhood, secure childhood, happy childhood, then your adult life is totally depend on that. In fact, if you had an abusive childhood, that is going to affect you. You are not responsible for that really. As a child, we are looking up to our parents, our teachers, so many other authority figures are there in our life. We look up to them, and depending on how they treated us, they themselves are ignorant in many ways. We can't blame them also. They are themselves prisoners of their own background, their own childhood, and all that. So at the end of the day, we have to say it is all karma. Due to our karma, we have got a certain janma. It's all prarabdha karma. We did not choose our parents. Neither our parents chose us, correct? If they have to choose us, then maybe they would have created us differently. Even they do not have any choice. So we have to learn to first accept whatever life we have. But then that doesn't mean you have to be the same. Acceptance is one part so that you don't have any self pity or you don't wallow in sorrow and all that. Because if you accept the reality, there is no sorrow. That is very important to understand. All sorrow, sadness is because people refuse to accept the reality. Why did this happen to me? Why I am like this? If you start thinking like that, then you are only having sorrow. You will end up with sorrow. But if you are able to accept, okay, this is what has happened, for good or bad, that's how it is. Life is like that, or that is our karma. If you are able to take responsibility that it is my own karma which is actually manifesting like this in a very difficult situation, then what can I do about it? Minimum we can pray, correct? In a difficult situation also, if you are able to pray, then that is going to make you much better. Psychologically, it will keep you in a better place. Even otherwise we say prayer also is a karma. All karma produces result. Okay, so our understanding of karma is very important, because we say all karma, all action you do has two results, we say. This is very important to understand. What are these two results? One result is immediately I experience. Drishta phalam, we say. What is this drishta phalam? Drishta phalam means I want to cross the road and I cross the road. I want to cross the road and take a bus, let us say. I crossed the road and I was able to board into the bus. That itself is a big accomplishment in some cities here. But in some cases, what happens? Traffic is too much. I managed to cross the road, but the bus conductor said, right means what? The bus went away. It became wrong for me, in fact. But anyway, at least I managed to cross the road. In some cases, what happens? I wanted to cross the road. Then somebody called me from a car. My friend was going. And then I got a nice ride in a car. Rather than going in a crowded bus, I got a ride in a car. I am thanking my luck. On another day, you wanted to cross the road. That's all you remember. Then you are getting up somewhere in a hospital ward and all that. Correct? That also can happen. So that means we want to do some karma, some action. We can take effort for that. But the drishta phalam, the directly experienced result, immediate result can be fourfold. It can be like I wanted, whatever I expected, or it can be less than what I expected, more than what I expected. It can be totally opposite. It can be anything. In spite of my effort, understand that. Putting in the effort is there in my hands, but there are so many unknown factors, variables are there. Effort is only one variable. Then what about all the other unknown factors? How do we account for this? Means we say there is one more thing which is also acting as an unknown factor. Unseen variable is there. What is that variable? Means we say it is your own papa and punya. What is this papa punya? Papa means it fructifies as unpleasant experience. Punya means it is fructifying as pleasant experience. Okay, so everybody has in their bank lot of papa punya, and they have withdrawn some from that bank to start this life. That is what we say prarabdha karma. So this life has started with something, some karma, and with that we start. And we are expending that, whether it is papa or punya, every day we are facing unpleasant or pleasant situation. So how did I gain all that? Means by your own action only again. If you do action and it is dharmic action, it is in keeping with dharma, whatever is right, if you do, not only you experience the drishta phalam immediately, you are also accumulating punya. That is what we call adrishta phalam. Adrishta means literally unseen. In all Indian languages, adrishta means not seen, unseen result. But we translate it as luck in English and do not even understand what it means. Really, adrishta is not luck. Adrishta is the result of your own action. Only thing is it's unseen result. Seen result is there, but unseen result also is there. That's why we say there are two results for every action. Those two results, one result is experienced immediately, directly, Drishtaphalam. Another is accumulated, it will fructify later, either as pleasant or unpleasant. If you do something wrong, if you do adharma, you are going to gain again Adrishtaphalam, but papa. Then where does this prayer as an action fit in here? Prayer is predominantly for gaining Adrishtaphalam. It is to gain punya or neutralize papa, whatever. That is why whenever we do any prayer, durita kshayartham, like that. See, we do sankalpam, correct? Always we keep our hands like this. Do mama upata samasta durita kshayadvara shri parameshwara prityartham. Mama upata, whatever accumulated karma I have, okay, not just karma in that particularly papa. Mama upata samasta durita. All the papa which I have accumulated, or at least which I have brought in this life, correct? Samasta durita kshayartham, they all have to be destroyed, neutralized. I am doing this, whatever karma, whatever puja, whatever japa. We also had Parameshwara Prityartham, as though Bhagavan requires your puja. Here, Parameshwara Prityartham or Sriman Narayana Prityartham, whatever, it may be any sampradaya you follow, Ishwararpana Buddhi also has to be there in all these things. That is because that is what is Karma Yoga. You are doing this particular karma, first you can do for punya and neutralizing papa, nothing wrong. That is also a good thing. That the fact that you are even able to pray itself is a blessing, because at least while you are praying, you are not doing something wrong, you are not gaining more papa, correct? And prayer also has its own benefits psychologically. There is some drishta phalam that way, but prayer is mainly for adrishta phalam. And particularly if you are facing difficult times, of course we have to take action, whatever is appropriate for that situation. That action we have to always take. If you are acting means you are not sad, there is no sorrow. Sorrow means you will be immobilized, you cannot even act correctly. That is the sad part in that. But if you are facing a situation, whatever is to be done you do, but you also have to pray, because there are so many unknown variables. You have to take care of that also. But if you are a karma yogi, that prayer also, the result of that prayer also, you leave it to Bhagavan. Okay. You are only praying for your own chitta shuddhi, to be free from your own likes and dislikes. That is the karma yogi. Just a karmi also you can be. You can do prayer. You are doing action. But if you are a yogi, means your attitude towards the results of action also is very different. But whichever way it is, you can chant all these suktas, correct? These are all there. Our ancestors are given, they have given us all these different prayers, and also they have given us different prayers which can be used in different situations also, specific prayers. So here this Durga Sukta looks very apt even for our current situation with all this problems, pandemic and all that, because this looks like a dukkena gamya only, correct? To get out of this pandemic also, we have to put in a lot of effort. Doesn't look very easy right now. So we have to pray to this Durga Devi, who herself is very difficult to attain, it seems. Durga also in Sanskritam means a fort, Durgaha, in the masculine if you take. Means fort is also difficult to get in, correct? That's why we build a fort. Kings build a fort because they can be within the fort and try to wear out the enemy. Not easy to get into the fort, typically. Even this body is called sometimes a fort. So here, this Durga Devi is looked upon as Agni also. In fact, in the first Rika, Jata Vedase means what? Jata Vedas itself is a beautiful word. So Vedaha, Vedani, Jnanani, all knowledge in fact is born from where? Means the source of all knowledge, Jata Vedas. So Bhagavan, we look upon Bhagavan as all knowing, the source of all knowledge. So all knowledge is already there. That's why nobody creates any new knowledge. Understand that. There is only discovery. Discover means what? Already all of us are covered by ignorance. And removing that ignorance, cover of ignorance alone is happening in any teaching, in any knowledge. Because all knowledge is already there. Bhagavan is there with all knowledge. Bhagavan is the source of all knowledge. Therefore, here this Devata is looked upon as the source of all knowledge. And in fact, all creation also presupposes knowledge. First, there has to be knowledge, then only there can be any creation also. If a potter is there making pots, but first the potter has to know what is a pot, correct? How to make it. First, knowledge has to be there, then only creation is possible. Even in the Upanishad also, when Srishti Krama is talked about, this Jnanamayam tapas is talked about, or Aikshata and all that. Bhagavan first visualized, means Bhagavan recollected this all knowledge in this cycle of creation. And then the whole Srishti started. So knowledge and the source of all knowledge is Bhagavan. This is said in Bhagavad Gita also. Bhagavan says, I am the source of all the Vedas, Vedanta, Vedanta Krit, Veda Videva Chaham, and all he says. The 15th chapter. Or in other places also he says, I know everything. Okay. Nobody knows me and all he says that. Interestingly, in the I think 7th chapter, because he says all the other beings are all covered in his own Maya. Okay. Naham prakashas sarvasya yogamaya samavritaha. Like that he says, I am not known to everybody because people are all covered by this yoga maya or ajnanam. But I know everything, he says. I know the past, I know the present, I know future, I know everything. But nobody knows me. He continues like that. Even in Brahma Sutra, the third sutra is Shastra Yonitva, Shastrasya Yonihi. So Bhagavan is the Yoni of even the Shastra, means Bhagavan is all knowing. That is one, that is the Lakshanam, one characteristic of Brahman itself is given as that Shastra Yonihi, Shastram, Shastrasya Yonihi, the Yoni, the source of all the Shastra, means if Brahman is the Yoni of all the Shastra, means it is all knowing also. So this all knowing here, Jata Vedas means the Agni is addressed as Jata Vedas, Agni Devata. The same Agni is looked upon as Durga in the next Rik. Because Agni is means Agni is Shakti, correct? Agni is energy, and Durga also is Shakti. Durga is the Shakti of Brahman, of Ishvara. Ishvara is the Shakti Man. Durga is Ishvara Shakti. In fact, they both are not inseparable also. Inseparable. Shakti and the Shakti Man, the one who has the Shakti, because it is the very nature of Ishvara, in fact. Like fire also, burning is its very nature. That energy, fire is nothing but energy, Shakti. So we look upon fire, first Agni Devata here, and then later on that same is called as Durga also. So here Jata Vedas, the all-knowing Agni, and for that Agni, what are we doing? Somam Sunavama, means we have a lot of Soma. In those days, Soma Yajna was done. Soma is a creeper, it's a Lata. So the Soma creeper, they bring. Sunavama means to crush it. Okay. You have a mortar, you have a pestle, you put that and there's a ritually also you have to do it, in fact. And get that Soma juice. Enough. There are descriptions of how to do it, how much you have to have. Then in the Soma Yaga, you have to use that Soma juice. So we are offering this Soma to this Agni, who is Jata Vedas, who is the one who is all-knowing, source of all knowledge. Okay, why are we doing that? Anything we do, we have to have a reason, correct? So Soma Yaga also we are doing, and we are offering that Soma to Agni. In fact, whoever did this Soma Yaga only, they get the name Somayaji also. In our country, all these names have some meaning. Somayaji, Vajapayee, we also had a prime minister. Somayajulu, we had an actor. None of them knew anything about Somayaga or Vajapayee Yaga. I think Vajapayee did not know anything about really his ancestor. Somebody must have done Vajapayee Yajna, so that family got the name Vajapayee. Similarly, Somayajulu also, one of his ancestors must have done Somayaga. Like that, all these names are all actually some accomplishment, correct? Dvivedi means 2 Vedas you should have done Adhyanam, 16 years. Trivedi means 3 Vedas. Chaturvedi means all 4 Vedas they have done Adhyanam. These are all names. But none of them today have even any knowledge of even Samskrita, or they haven't done any Veda Adhyanam, nothing. But they all carry that name. Dvivedi, Trivedi, Chaturvedi, Tripathi. Also same meaning. Anyway, so here we are offering this Soma to Agni. Then what do we expect from that Agni as a Devata? Means again we are addressing Vedaha. Agni is Vedaha, means Swayam Sarvam Veti. Agni is the one who knows everything. We all have to be taught. Our ignorance have to be removed. Then only we know. But this Agni Devata is already shining, all knowing, Swayam Veti. So again, Jata Vedase and also Vedaha, we can address the Devata as Vedaha also means the same Sarvavitvam. Hey Agni, who you know, who is the source of all knowledge, and you are also knowing everything by yourself. Swayam Veti. Without any need for any teaching, means does not have any ignorance at all. Chaitanya Swarupam. Really. So what do we want from you? Arati yataha nidahati. So you burn all our enemies. Arati yataha means Shatrutvam, who has Shatrutvam towards you. Those who have opposing tendency towards you. Those who oppose you have enmity towards you. So externally you can say arati yataha means enemies or even hindrances. If it is a conscious being, then they are all your enemies. If it is something insentient, still it can be an hindrance, correct? You want to do something, you want to go through a road, they have put a barricade, that becomes a hindrance. So here arati yataha externally can be any hindrance or enemy. Burn all that. Nidahati. So you are the one who burns all these things. But what about enemies for a mumukshu? Means not just external enemies. We have enemies within also. Bhagavan talks about this a lot in Bhagavad Gita, correct? There are so many enemies. How do we even understand? In the third chapter end, Bhagavan tells Arjuna, what does he say? Kama yesha krodha yeshaha rajoguna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapapma vidyena miha vairinam. So he says very clearly there are this kama and krodha. Also in general there are other in other places also we talk about shad ripuhu and all that. 6 enemies are there for us, particularly for a mumukshu, the one who wants freedom. What are the 6 enemies? Binding desire, kama. Kama by itself is not a problem. In fact, it is a privilege. It is a manifestation of Bhagavan Shakti, Icha Shakti. And Bhagavan in the 7th chapter later on says that I am the one who is manifest as Kama, which is not opposed to Dharma. He says, Dharma aviruddha kamosmi bharatarshabha. So Kama in itself is not a problem. It is a Shakti, it is a privilege. We can desire for so many things. A cow cannot desire for Chinese dinner or a candle-lit dinner or an iPhone. I can desire. But if it becomes binding desire means what? If I do not fulfill it, I cannot be happy. If something is not there with me, I am not happy. Or if I cannot get rid of something, also I am not happy. It is binding desire. Raga dvesha. Raga means if something is not there with me, I am not happy. Dvesha means if something is there, I am not able to avoid it, means again I am not happy. And I am even ready to do adharma to fulfill my raga and dvesha. Then in fact it becomes greed. One is raga dvesha, kama itself is a problem. And if kama is not fulfilled, it becomes krodha, anger, because you have pain then. You think that you cannot be happy because your kama is not fulfilled. Then that becomes a hurt and pain that will then manifest as krodha, anger. Or if you are ready to do adharma to fulfill your kama, means it becomes greed, then only it is greed, lobha. And if you have all this kama, krodha, lobha, means all your knowledge also is not available to you. You may be a very knowledgeable person in general, but when you are under the spell of your own kama and krodha and lobha, means nothing is available to you. Your own knowledge is not available. That becomes then what? Moha. That is what we say delusion. Being knowledgeable is not enough. That knowledge has to be available to you all the time. And you should be able to lead your life in keeping with that knowledge. Correct? In the light of that knowledge, if you are able to live, then that knowledge is fruitful. Otherwise, knowledge is there, but you are not having the results of that knowledge. That is a tragedy, in fact. Means you are deluded still. Moha is there. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha. Mada, Matsarya also. Mada means what? Pride. Matsarya is jealousy. Pride also is one manifestation of your own inferiority complex, I think. So you want to, sometimes you want to even put down others and feel good. Pride, arrogance and all also comes. Because in your own vision, you think you are lacking something. So you have to make it up somehow psychologically. So you are putting up a show of pride. Then jealousy also. Since you think you lack something and somebody else has that, means it becomes jealousy. All these things are all your enemies because they don't let you enjoy your own Swarupa Ananda. In fact, you are in reality the source of all happiness. But because of all these things, they cover you and make you into a limited being, jiva, and lead you into sorrow also. So those are my enemies, and I want you to burn all them. So you are the one who burns all my enemies. Arati yataha nidahati. Hey Agni, who is all knowing, who knows everything by himself. And further what? Sanaf parshadati durgani vishwa nave vasundhun duritat. So here again a simile is used. Nava iva sindhum. So ati parshad means what? Ati durgani vishwa durgani ati saha naha. Naha means us, asmakam, us. Okay. Saha, Saha Agnihi, Saha Jata Vedas. This Devata, Vishwa Durgani Ati Parshad means all the Durga here means apat, any danger. Here this is in neuter gender, Durgani means any difficult situation, dangerous situation, unpleasant situation which we are facing like right now are all called Durgani. Vishwa Durgani means all these difficult situations, dangerous situations. Apadaha, like that. Apat, even in Tamil we have, correct? All that you take us beyond all that. You protect us, Ati Parshat, from that. You destroy all these dangerous situations for us. Like how? And you take us beyond all the He Agnihi, Ati, Duritat, Ati, Durita means again all our Papa. Because our Papa only is rectifying as all these difficult situations. That we have to first accept. In that acceptance itself, you will actually have certain strength. This karma is our shock absorber. Many people ask me, in fact, during this period, many people send me messages. They ask me, how can we, how can we understand whatever is happening? So many of our friends, relatives have all gone. How do we face it? How do we understand it? What explanation do we have for this? Means there is only one explanation. Everything is your karma and their karma also. Whatever has happened to them is their karma, and whatever you are feeling due to that is your karma. That's how we have to accept it. That is the only explanation. It is our own durita. Whatever difficult situation we are facing, it is because of our durita only. And but only you can take me beyond that. Hey Jatavedas, hey Agnihi, you have to take me beyond all these difficult situations. I surrender to you. Like how Nava iva Sindhum, like even a boat goes beyond the Sagara. Correct? Sindhu here means a large water body. Samudra. So for a mumukshu, we have to take it as Samsara Sagara. So you only have to take me beyond this Samsara Sagara. You have to protect me from all the papa. And you are all knowledge means what? Again there, what is implied is whatever knowledge I am gaining, this Atma Jnanam also should be always available to me. Like how it is available to you, it has to be available to me also, all the time. Then only I can have this knowledge and also have the phalam, jnana. The jnana has to be there and the jnana phalam also has to be there. Then only Jivan Mukti is possible. So you have to take me beyond all this durita. Like even a boat goes beyond the Sagara, Samudra. You have to protect me. You have to destroy all the difficult situations, dangerous situations. Vishwa Durgani. So that is the prayer here. That's how this rig starts, this first rig in this Durga Suktam. And our Sayanacharya says that this prayer itself you can see it is for Anishta Parihara, for getting rid of all unpleasant things. Then further also this prayer is beautiful. We'll continue this next week. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी. धन्यवादः.
धन्यवाद.